Good morning. Lisa's almost here. She's gathering the last minute supplies.
I'm getting a boy and a girl pen.
A boy and a girl pen. That is super important that we have both pink and blue represented.
We are totally represented.
You want your
today.
microphone?
I do.
Okay.
Totally want it.
Well, this is Cup of Cheer, Class 3?
Yeah.
Class 3. All right. And today we're going to do some of the more complicated stuff, right? There's simple applique pieces involved, but then they kind of they're dimensional, so they sit on top of each other.
There's multiple hoopings to do these blocks. So you've got to make something, and then sometimes you make two somethings, and then put them all together on the base.
Right.
So there'll always be something that you make first. Make sure that you are reading, because
Don't
some
just
of
look at the
them
pictures.
Some of them have water-soluble stabilizer for the first part, and some of them have just a cutaway for the first part. So,
and some you add a little piece of tearaway
there's
underneath.
all kinds of
Yes.
So read whatever it is that it is telling you, because there's certainly a lot of instructions. You'll start seeing like the exclamation point, warning, warning,
Warning.
and it'll say advanced embroidery ahead.
Danger,
So,
Will Robinson.
no doubt. So the steps aren't actually hard, but there are multiple ones, and they are different than anything we've done before.
Yes.
So that's why we chose to do these. So I did a little bit of prep work last night.
We have a little movie magic.
We do. We're gonna have some movie magic for you, so that it's not quite as long.
So it's not a
staring.
4 hours?
Yes.
I mean, we know you enjoy us.
We'd love to sit here and stitch with you guys all morning. However, don't think that's going to work. So what we're going to do is show some of that main top stitching and how that all works, and then the attachment portion and how that goes onto the base block. So just in case there's any questions, please feel free to throw questions into the chat area there if you have them. And we are going to start with the blue house, which is on page 47 in the instruction book.
Yes.
And we're going to start with the door. So the first thing that you have to do is make the door. And it will tell you the hooping instructions for part A.
Yes.
Are wash-away stabilizers. So I actually have...
It's the book touching
Oh,
the
I'm like,
screen.
what are
Hi,
we...
knock, knock, knock.
What are we doing?
Yes.
So sorry. So the first thing you need to do is you only need a 4x4. I used a 4x4 at home. I had a 5x7 here, and I thought it might be slightly easier for you guys to see what we were doing with the larger hoop. So I went ahead and did that.
There is a little section in the book here that has a little icon that says digital instructions are included. If you have an iPad or something like that, you can actually sort of zoom in on these parts in order to see the steps a little bit more clearly if you are struggling with just the pictures in the book. So that is something that is available to you that you can do anytime. So just as a point, some of these complicated blocks, they have more instructions.
There is definitely more instruction.
Yes,
than
not the
normal.
entire book is on the CD, but just some extra pieces. So we're going to start with just the first part of this, right?
That is correct. So we have pulled up the blue door part A file and added that in. And again, you only need a 4x4 hoop. I have 2 layers of wash away, just the mesh in the hoop. And I do recommend the second layer because there's going to be a heavy satin stitch around the outside. And we definitely want it to be nice and
Stiff.
Yep. You know, it's good to have a good stiff door in the morning.
That's right.
Absolutely. So here we go. First things first, I have, based on what I was stitching last night, number 442 out of our Stitching in Style thread set in there. Doesn't really matter at this point what you have in. You could put in white or navy, whatever it is that you want. I don't really care what my threads are because we're not actually going to use this block. So you being able to see what we're doing is more important than what the colors actually are. So the fabrics and the threads that we are using this morning do not reflect what you should use in the quilt.
Right.
So do not mash the threads and things like that. So this is just the techniques, not the fabrics and the threads, FYI.
Yes.
So I just pulled scraps of random things. And then again, the threads are not specific to what you should be using in the quilt. So first things first, we are going to stitch a square on your stabilizer. And this is going to be for your shape form interfacing. And it is the white stiffer stuff, right? And it is very important that you cut this to the exact right size. This is not one of those things that you're going to overlay and then trim. You want it to be exactly the size of that piece. And it will say in the instructions, it says, place the door covering the interplacement. So do you want to switch for me? Mm-hmm. And you might be able to see. Yep. There are, little too far. There we go. So there are 2 lines here. The inner line is where this should be. Yeah, maybe I cut the wrong one. 1 1/4 by 2 3/4. No, it's got to be like in between. That's where I was. Okay. So the you've got 2 lines there. You don't want it to exceed the outside line.
Yep. Cover the inner line, but
not outside
yes.
the outside line. So it should basically kind of sit in between those lines. And if it is outside of that line, you miscut it and you need to go back and trim. Do not have it be outside of that line. All right. And then, yes, you have to tape this in place because it is going to stitch, but you need to make sure that your fingers are not in there. Mm-hmm. So make sure that it is in place. I am holding the bottom. It only shows the top piece of tape there. And then I'm zoomed in still so you guys can see what's going on. It's going to do basically that inner square again. And it's going to tack this down just on the inside of your piece. All right, so that is the base of the door, and the fabrics are going to wrap around that. So as you're stitching them, it is a little bit weird. We don't usually have that bump
in there
when you're stitching. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that placement.
You want to zoom out a little?
I can totally zoom out, sorry.
There you go, that's better.
All right, and then I am just...
I got a really good view of your watch.
My watch? Do you like my watch, guys?
Would have been funny if something funny had come through at that time. We didn't plan that.
I don't have anything interesting coming through on my watch. Sorry. I should have just pulled it out rather than trying to do it underneath the needle. Sorry.
The struggle is real this morning.
Evidently. All right. So then once it's stitched in place, remove your tape.
Yep. And then you're going to stitch the inner door outline.
Yep. All right. So again, I still have this kind of minty green color in. Don't necessarily follow my colors. And Shirley, I'm so glad that it's helping you. I think I'm going to send it one more time just to make sure everybody has it that has bought Cup of Cheer. Mm-hmm. And I I don't remember the last time I sent it, so just make sure everybody's got all of the updates and,
Yep.
and changes. All right, so the fabric placement line is basically that outside stitch line. And again, this is the wrong fabric, so yours should not look like this.
Yeah, it's more solid blue,
It is
right?
a solid, that solid blueberry blue from your kit, not this one. Again, do not match my stuff. This is just the techniques here. And now we're going to tack that down. It's going to be nice and tight, and you're going to get that push up in the center, which is completely normal.
I'll put your block underneath the other camera so we can show.
Cool.
There we go. All right.
Hayden's working on that hand sewing for me.
He
Bless his heart.
is. So just so you can see really quickly, this is the block that we're working on. Let me zoom in a little bit so they can see a little better. There we go.
So this is a working sort of door. And the reason that we're putting that stiff piece in there is so that it stays open a little bit and it gives it shape. If you didn't have anything in there, it would just kind of fall down.
Right.
So you're going to be doing 2 of these. The steps for the basics mechanics are the same. So when you get to the other one, it'll be the same things. The size of the doors are different. So the size of your little white pieces are different. Make sure you're putting the right one into the right door.
Right.
Just FYI.
So the 3D door that we're making is that
That
blue,
blue
one
one
right
right
now.
there.
Just we are not using those fabrics, so we just wanted to make sure you
I
could
did at
see
least
that.
try to grab blue fabric.
You did grab blue fabric. Okay. So now
sorry.
we
All right.
have stitched the inner door outline.
I think we have
And
to do
we-
a doorknob, but yeah.
Yep.
So do not trim anything, okay? So I know we all want to go grab our applique scissors when we do stuff like this. We're not trimming anything at this point, so we're going to,
Do the doorknob, Phil.
oh, I skipped something. What the heck did I do? Oh, there's an inner line first and then a doorknob. And then a
Yes.
fill.
And then a fill,
There's a
yes.
whole bunch of stuff. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. And yes, Connie, it is a very, very close tack down. It gets just on the edge of that. So it is very important that that white piece be exactly the size that they tell you to cut it at. And if it's not, go back and trim because it doesn't work so hot if it's not the right size. All right, so there is the inner outline. Here's the doorknob, and I'm not changing threads. I did change threads on the, you can see, if you saw in the picture, I had a teal doorknob.
Yes.
And then there's some inner detail. I guess we could have skipped this, but it only takes a second.
Yeah.
And then it comes to what the heck we're doing here today. So you'll notice that this is a little bit louder than your average sew outs because it's going through that shape form. And shape form can be called a little bit different depending upon what company you're buying it. It's just that heavy form giving.
Yeah. Peltex,
Peltex.
Timtex, hat
There-
brim material.
There's lots of names for it, but they're all basically the same concept. We used it yesterday in our,
Yeah.
as the backing.
The baby lock
piece
version
to
is
give it-
Shape Flex.
Yes.
OESD has a version as well. It is fiber foam.
Fiber form.
Form, yeah. So lots of different versions of this. Of course, if you have a Kimberbell embellishment kit, you
came
have
in there.
some of this. But if you're looking to make more, you might have some of this in your stash of stuff if you're a collector.
And you really don't need very large pieces. So if you had scraps would probably give you the pieces if you didn't.
Yep. I think I just answered this, but just in case you missed that part,
Because it was
this
loud and you
is
didn't hear us.
definitely in the embellishment
Yep.
kit.
You're going to get a square that you cut the 2 rectangles out of, and the cutting is listed in the cut instructions at the beginning.
Right.
All right. So at this point, we have done step number 7, and that was that inner detail there. So what we're going to do now is tape a second piece to the back, because of course we don't want a yucky door on the back, because
that would be no fun.
It's a working door, so there you can see the back. So whenever I have a functional back that's going to show, I always try to trim off as much as I can so I don't have big old pieces of thread popping out of my back. So check and make sure that you don't have yucky stuff poking out there. And then we're going to, of course, tape your fabric down. Normally I say to tape all 4 corners, but this piece is so small, I just tape a large piece of tape across the top and the bottom. Because it's practically the size of 4 pieces. Actually, I can almost get smaller pieces by using one big one on each side. But anyway, make sure that the corners are attached there. Oh, sticky little sucker. All right, once that is attached to the back and you're just completely covering the back of your stitch out, then we're going to stitch color stop number 8, which will tack that back down in place.
It's hard to do applique and not trim. We're so accustomed
we want to just go grab those scissors the moment we put fabric down.
But it does say very bright
highlighted
details, do not trim the fabric.
Except now we are going to trim. But we have to trim very specifically, and this is in the instructions. It shows you where to notch trim, and we are notch trimming on both front and back, and you have a little notch that went out here. So again, I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. All right, go back. Sorry. There we go. So that little notch that came out here, and there is a mirrored one up at the top, that will show us where to leave. So it's right on that green tree there. There's a second one, and those are basically where we're going to attach it to the main house. So we need a tab to hold on to, otherwise we have nothing to grip to tack down, and we need that fabric there to tack it down to the main portion of the house. So we're going to cut all the way around except for that section right there, and I'm going to literally leave, I'm not going to cut any of that fabric. I'm going to leave all of that there. I'm going to cut the rest of it all the way around, front and back of the hoop.
Okay, you're going to trim on the other side?
Yeah, I'll trim over there.
You side it up just a little. There you go. Sorry, you're probably at a weird angle over there. Do you want me to move some of that stuff?
That's all right. I really starched these. Got a lot of oomph. All right, so with the front and the back trimmed, we're now going to stitch the final stitch color, which helps if you put it in the right way, is going to do a satin stitch all the way around the sections where we trimmed. It will not do anything here. And we do need this part stitched, so sorry, you gotta wait like 2 minutes.
Well, we can go back and show the door on the other side so you can see. So again, the part that we're working on is, yeah, so slide over to your real one just so they can see the actual block again. So we're working on the satin stitching, which is really hard to see right now because it blends in so well with the actual color. But that tab is the part that's we're going to use to attach.
Right here.
Yep. So your block will look like the one that Lisa is showing, the one that has the number 16 on it. Our fabrics are similar, but they're not exactly the same. We're just using
grab
straps.
Approximations, but
Yep.
And I didn't stitch all of the decorative stuff. I skipped over it because I don't know, it was like 8:30 when I left. So
Yeah.
you know, I was like, they don't need that.
No.
And we won't be using this, so I was like, it matters not.
It does not.
It's going to do this nice piece all the way around, which gives a nice finish. It does show you in your instructions that you will want to have a matching bobbin on that edge there.
That makes sense.
This one, because it's going to be that 3D, but you want it to have that pretty edge there. So for this stitch here, you'll want to have a matching bobbin. The rest of it won't show, so it doesn't matter what you have in up to this point. But for this stitch here, you would want to have a matching bobbin. Almost there. Round and, what is that? 1, 2, round and third. Heading home. Yeah, right there. I already trimmed that part. Oops. I think I even did it on most of the windows. It just out of habit.
Yeah.
You do it and you trim it, right? Don't do that. Okay, so that has completed. So what you're going to do is pop that. Swap over here. Pop that one. I'm just gonna get rid of that guy. We're gonna pop that out of the hoop, and we are going to trim away the bulk of your stabilizer. I trim as close as I can without trimming my stitches. And then it even has cotton swabs in the materials list for this block. Get a cotton swab wet and go around the edge of the door to remove the little bit of stabilizer that is left. So once you get to the tab portion, I pulled the front one back and held it with my thumb, and pulled the back one back and held it with my other fingers so that it was out of the way. And then I trimmed that excess as well. Do not cut that tab off. Very important. You need it. All right, so now I have that tab sticking out, and I have just that little bit. If I were putting this in my actual piece, I would rinse off that stabilizer. We're going to skip that part because we're just going to keep moving. All right, but you want to now just a little dab will do you. Some room temperature water would be better than out of the fridge. All right, and get that little edge off of the door. So at this point, you would now hoop your stabilizer only and build your house base, which is the next part.
Yep.
So no show mesh in the hoop. In your machine, pull up your 4x8 quilting block, if that's what you were doing, which is what I have over here, and then follow all of the instructions up to this point. So this is the door. I don't know if you heard me say I accidentally trimmed the excess around the door base. I think I did that on every block. So obviously it works it's not going to kill anything, but just be careful. The idea, of course, is that your foot's not getting caught anywhere. So I am to the point where this one, in addition to having a moving door, there's a pocket behind the door.
Okay.
So we have this piece that we are adding. So there are tiny little notches that are built into that tack down, and that is where your pocket goes. So just put that right on those pieces, all right? And then, yes, you have to tape that, otherwise your foot is gonna play friends and it's gonna wanna go out to play.
Okay. So I am just double check
So-
to make sure I'm in the right spot. I moved to stitch number 21. Stitch the door base decorative outline, or stitch the door pocket tack down line.
Pocket tack down.
Okay, so we need to go back one more. 20.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so
So just for your own reference, we are now on page 49, and we have done the first several steps. We are actually at stitch number 20, which is stitch the door pocket tack down line. That is the part that we are at. So everything leading up to this point is just your standard applique. There's
just
nothing
like all of the
special.
other blocks that you have done, there's nothing crazy. There is decorative stitching. There is glitter on the roof. We've pretty much all done that. So, and yes, Connie, this pocket is folded. So there is a nice fold seam. So there are total of 4 pieces of fabric for your pocket. You have 2 that go on this part. You have 1 that goes for the base, and then you have 1 that is an 8-inch piece that you're going to fold long ways in half and press, and that fold is going to go right on that line.
And yours will all be dark blue.
They will all be that solid navy, whatever, blueberry blue. I don't remember what it's called, but
Yep.
that solid blue in the kit.
Yes.
All right. So you should have.
They'll all be that color blue.
They'll all be that. That is correct. That solid piece.
Yep.
So there is a fold for the pocket that is right there.
Yep. So that's the part we're working on right now.
Yep.
We're coming up to the
I'm
first
thinking,
special technique.
dollars rolled up.
Definitely. There should be
I want
dollars in my quilt.
dollars in my quilt. Lots of dollars. As long as somebody else is putting them in to give to me, right? That's the point that we have to get past. All right. So at this point, I need to tack this pocket down. So you need to make sure that the tape is covering that so that your foot won't get caught in the pocket.
And this is the point where you were supposed to trim all the way around
Right.
the door and the pocket.
I just jumped ahead
She
just
got
a little bit. I got excited.
a little bit excited. It never happens.
Tear off your tape. I'm having tape removal issues today. Good Lord. All right.
It's extra sticky.
Something. Or my nails are extra not worky today. Both pieces would help. All right, so now we have a door with a pocket. And I just pulled that up. Don't do that. Okay. Don't pull on that. I just was trying to show you and I tugged a little too hard.
Yes.
Okay, so once we have that,
Stitch.
there is an outline that goes all the way around the outside.
Yep.
I'm going to take, because I did pull that up just a hair, I'm going to actually, I don't want that foot to catch that.
Catch, yeah.
Just going to. We're just going to give a little extra love.
There we go.
All right.
It's smart though. They started at that bottom corner and they'll go up over.
They'll go up and over.
So it should glide over.
It shouldn't matter because it's only going to go over this side here and it's going the correct direction. So again, not this thread color, just for clarification.
You would want something that matches.
Unless you really want this stitch to show. But I can still see this stitch on mine. Against the solid, it definitely, you can still see it. But I would put a more blending color in than this, personally. But all right. I didn't think that that would be a problem, but I just wanted to make sure. All right, at this point, we are going to take this guy and center it on top of the door. So our decorative stitch went up to that little notch, kind of like the notch that we had on here, and we are going to put the door directly on top of and center it on top of the piece that's underneath of it. All right, once we have that, what she has you doing is putting a straight pin right through where the stitch line is here at the end of the satin stitch. So at home, I only have like really long sewing pins. It worked. I obviously got my doors attached. These are shorter. I have a good suspicion that these will probably keep things a little bit tighter.
Right.
My pins at home, I still had a little wiggle room because the pin was so long.
Yeah.
Things moved a little bit. So
she also does make a recommendation if you have like a wool mat.
yes, to pin through.
Because you can pin through that without poking yourself or your table or
exactly
your machine. Or...
Not your lap, because of course that would go right into your leg. So I'm going to go over here if you don't mind.
Yep.
And I'm going to try to work on this lovely surface.
And so the instructions say center part A door on the door base by aligning the vertical line on the hinge side of the door with the vertical line on the door base. Tape the right side of the door from top to bottom, and then place your 2 straight pins at the intersection of the hinge marks on the vertical stitch line on the door, and push the pin straight through all the layers to the back. Then you flip it around.
So this line is I can't do that. This line here is what we're looking at. So we want to have our satin lines lining up on top of the decorative stitch that we just did, and we want our straight lines lining up. Once we have that, we want to tape our tab down. Nope, tape the other side down. Sorry. So that it doesn't move. Too much tape is better than not enough here because we don't want things moving around. That's kind of the whole point. Okay, my piece wasn't quite long enough to go down the bottom. Okay, you know I don't like tape.
Mission accomplished.
All right, so at this point, right here, we've got the straight stitch line where it meets the satin stitch, and that is the point that we're talking about. So we're going to push right through and go into the base of our hoop, and we're going to repeat that at the top. So again, on the stitch line where it meets that satin stitch, that is the point where we're looking to line things up. So you're going to push that right down. I'm actually on top of my quilt, and then I'm on top of a box, so I have empty space beneath me for my pin to go into. So I'm going to gently lift up, and now we want to check. So you're going to flip your hoop over, and you want to look and see where your pins are. And the idea is that you are on the straight line at the end of your
looks good
satin stitch on the back. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that is in a good position. All right. If you are not where you want to be, you flip it over and you do it again until you're happy with what you've got there.
Yes.
All right. if you are happy with what you have, I need to move this back around and now. Need a position where those pins can sit. All right. And this is the part where I'm always like, I'm going to put a little bit of tape. I know. Can you believe it? I'm willingly using tape, guys. And I am going to tape over here before I pull my pins out because I don't want any shifting. That's the main thing. So what I found is with the longer pins, when I was pulling them out, I felt like the door was moving a little bit.
Right.
All right. So I'm holding the door, giving a little bit of push on the back of the hoop so that nothing is moving. See how the door is lifting a little bit? I'm holding it down as I'm pulling my pin out. So I don't want it moving position. It's okay to move a little bit, but I don't want the position to change. So I've removed the pins because of course I can't stitch with that in there. So this is where I'm at. I've got tape securing it in position.
On both sides.
On both sides. I added that little bit on the side just to keep us in play. All right, switch. We're going to go back to the machine. And now this is what they have you doing in the instructions. And I don't think that it's a bad idea. All right. Remove the thread from your needle. Hopefully you have a needle threader, so it's super easy to put it back in a minute. All right. And what she's got you doing is lowering your actual needle into the position all the way like in jaunts down. So jump forward about 10 stitches. Lower your needle. You should be right on top of that stitch line. I am right on. So we're going to jump ahead. I don't know what she tells you. I don't
middle
remember.
and
Just to the middle. So
yeah.
wait, jump up to here. Okay, that's great. We're right on the money. And then jump another, not far down enough. There we go. Where are you at? It didn't like it, did it?
It did not.
There we go. So I am just a hair left. All right. So I was just a little bit too far left. So, oh, for crying out loud. Stupid thing. All right. So once you are happy with where the needle is going to go, all right. More complicated than hanging a real door. All right. We're going to rethread our needle. Again, your needle, your foot is going to go down. So we don't want it changing any positions. You want to go back to the beginning of that stitch because you don't want to just be in the middle. And then we're going to tack that down. I am going to hold it because I don't want anything to shift. I did all that work. We're not going to ruin it now, right?
I can't see through your watch. There you go.
All right.
Woohoo!
And it should stitch right on top of that. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see where it ended up. There is not two lines there.
Yay!
There is one right on top of the other. If it stitched just a hair off, count it good, guys. All right. It does seem a little bit thick. This is the same needle we've been using. I did not change needles. I didn't change needles at home either.
We have a 75.
It is a 75. A 90-14 would be fine if you wanted that.
So, but yeah, if you needed to change something, probably a fresh needle.
A fresh needle would be just as helpful as the 90.
Yes.
But it's doing this without any real struggle. So we are on page 49.
Yes, and I think we're actually.
I think we just turned the page.
Page 50. Yes.
And we tacked that down. So at this point, I need to remove my tape from the left over there, and I need to get rid of that flap. I am on my last color stop of that design. I've got a little bit of stabilizer in there I need to get rid of. And trim as close as you can.
There you go.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? Again, it's not that it's hard. There's just steps. If you,
No shortcuts
unfortunately, I didn't come up with any shortcuts.
unless you don't want a 3D door.
That would be a shortcut. You know, I was like, is there another way I could attach like hinge? You know, could I do like some? If you don't have that whole satin stitch on there, it's not going to last is the thing.
Right.
So you could make the door and attach it in some other way, but I'm afraid it would just fall off. You know, the first couple of times somebody wiggles it,
Yep.
it wouldn't last.
Wiggle,
So
wiggle, wiggle.
we're going to do a satin stitch right along there. And that will permanently attach the door. And then this block will be complete.
Woohoo!
I probably could have trimmed a little better. I was in a hurry. This is still pretty good.
Not too bad. Well,
Not
and your
too shabby.
fabric and your thread match when you're doing your real block.
Yep. All right, so that is how to stitch and then attach a 3D door.
Yay!
One down.
One down, 47 more to go.
So the next thing that we're going to do is gift box number 2, which is the more square of the two pieces because that's just the one that I pulled up. So that is on page
44.
44 in your books. It's like, stop.
All right, so just we just finished that one there, which was the block number 16.
Sorry. There you go.
There you go.
3D
with
door.
The 3D door.
Squeaky.
Yes.
Oops, I hit the camera.
And
We're buried.
we're and let's show them the block we're gonna do. Is that
That's that
this
one.
right? All right. So I can do that for you. Try to be helpful.
Shankya.
All right. So we are doing this block.
Right there.
Where is
Right
it?
there.
There we go. There we go.
So what
This
we're
is a
gonna
For
stitch.
two, right?
This is a twofer, absolutely. We're going to stitch the actual gift part right now. I have already prepped the base. So normally you wouldn't do this part before you've stitched the top part, but I have that ready to go as soon as we do that. So we won't have to go through those steps. So this is a working zipper. You can tuck in, if you're giving gifts when you come in, you can tuck dollars in this one too, just FYI. Gift cards, we both like Starbucks. You know, I'm just kidding. But you can tuck in random things in there, which is always a good thing, right? So double hoop. And we need, oh, no, sorry, dimension. And then, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
The square, yep. So that we're gonna do the top of the box, the zipper, and the actual gift portions themselves. So for this one, if you are looking, we don't want wash away. We need to support the stitches that are in there. So we have cutaway. So I've got no-show mesh in the hoop, and I am in a 5x7 hoop this time around. Jeez, oh Pete, there's a lot of gummy in there. I didn't get that out of inventory yet.
Okay.
All right, so
Page 44 in your book, gift box 2.
gift box 2.
Yes. No show mesh.
No-show mesh. Prep wise, so it does give you all of these instructions in the book. You're going to have 2 pieces of your gift box. It's going to be like the gray with scattered trees all over it. These are the right color of pieces for the gift box top. And you need to, of course, have that starched. You want to have that. And you're going to fold over approximately 1 inch You need a nice smooth edge there, and you're going to do that for both of those pieces. All right, that is the prep for that. These are 6 by 5. You're going to fold those in half, and you need to fuse a fusible backing to one side of that. You're going to want that fusible backing side up when you put them into the project. So you want that to be face up. And then,
Makes
of
sense.
course,
We're kind of making a zippered bag.
we kind of are making a zippered bag. And then, of course, you need the zipper, which is included in your embellishment kit if you purchased that. I snagged one from the wall.
All right.
Okay, so first things first, we need the base of where we are putting everything.
This is the dimensional top, so there's no quilting on this one.
That is
the quilting
correct.
gets done on the base piece, which is the part 2.
Yep, so this is part A.
Yeah. So we're just doing kind of an outline right now.
Excuse me. All right, so
That was stitch the gift box outline on the stabilizer, and now the scary part, stitch the cut box.
So this is a box inside of that box. It's just a skinny rectangle. It's going to go right up the center of the box. And once that is stitched, we are going to remove the stabilizer from the interior of that box, plus a little past it. All right, so we've got, I tried.
There you go.
We're going to remove the stabilizer from in here. So I'm just gonna push.
And extend the cut about 3/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom.
So I am just cutting up. I'm gonna go past, cut over. Same thing over here. Go past and over. Look like it's quite far enough. Hole in the stabilizer that is passed on both top and bottom. I'm going to zoom that back out in a second. All right. With that hole,
Open the box fabric with fusible backing and place right side up, aligning the crease with the right side of the cut box, completely covering the right half of the gift box outline.
so we have a piece that has fusible on half. You can see that side's a little bit thicker over here, maybe. And that is the side I want to stitch on. So we're going to be working on
That side.
the right side of the box. My pressed seam is going to go right on that cut line. So I'm simply going to line that up on that edge. And lo and behold, good thing we have this tape.
She's gonna tape. Shocker.
I know. So much tape. I'm starting to get twitchy. All right, so once we have that in place, I feel like that shifted on me. All right, make sure that you have the fusible side here, the non-fusible side here,
Yes.
and that line is basically on your fold. Once you are in position, you can go ahead and stitch color stop number 3, which will tack down that piece. All right, at this point, your fabric is now secured to the stabilizer. You would stitch your number 20. That's going to take a couple minutes. There's no reason for us to do that for your benefit at the moment. So I'm going to skip that part. So what we need to do now, you would have your 20 stitched right there, is you take and go to the back. You are going to push that fabric through and make that fold hug that cut piece. And of course, you guys know we're going to tape that to the back of the hoop. So we want our edges secured so we have no sewn weird corners, and we want to have a nice smooth fold right there. Once that is in place, we're going to turn back to the front, and it's going to repeat basically right on those lines, and now tack the lining, for lack of a better description, in place there. All right, again, this is after you've stitched your number. Green.
Mm-hmm.
Trimming.
No, not yet.
Couldn't remember. It's been too long.
Yeah, no trimming.
All right, so now we are going to get a placement line for where to place our lid fabric on the right side. So we're going to stitch color stop number 6, and it will show us that. I didn't remember that we didn't put that on the stabilizer. I was thinking that we trimmed it. Oh well, we're not going to. All right, so once we have that, I'm sorry?
You said, yeah, no trimming.
No trimming. We're going to place that folded edge, right? So here's my fold. So that nice smooth edge, and we're going to align the edge of that fabric with the edge right on our cut line and the folded edge below it. So cover up your placement line and get yourself a nice smooth edge there. Yeah, I'm just going to hold it.
Okay.
Tape
Tape if you want.
Tape if you would like to. I'm not gonna. Back of the hoop is one thing, but we're just gonna go for it. All right, so there is my lid fabric on the right. Gift box 1 is done exactly the same way. There is only one minor difference, and that is that it's at more of an angle instead of square.
Looks like more like a flower pot at the base or something.
Yeah, it's just angled down instead of the square. So we have.
So the next thing that we do,
we're going to do the same thing on the
yep,
opposite
open
side.
the box fabric right side up, aligning the crease with the left side.
So again, you want your fusible on the top side there. So the non-fusible side is going to go to the left. Go over on the right. You're going to align that fold directly on that cut line. So that my hands aren't in your way, I will put tape on it. Okay. And we're going to tack that down.
Then tuck the right side of the fabric through the box. And tape.
All right, with that now secured there, we are one more time going to push up and through and tuck that around. Again, we want to have a nice smooth piece there. So you can give it a little tug. Don't tug too much because you don't want to pull back on the cut hole area. You still want that to remain the same size, but you can give it just a little bit of oomph to make sure that it's hugging that area instead of having excess empty space. With that in place, we're going to go ahead.
Yes.
Nope, we were probably supposed to do that all in one shot, weren't we?
No.
Because this is now going to do.
It didn't say. It said open the fabric, the right side crease.
Covering the left.
Oh, tuck the right side of the fabric through the box. Okay, so we'll just back up.
Sorry. So the with the left side in place, because we're not stitching anything down here, they're having that all done in one shot. So our bad. We're gonna tack that backing down at the same time as the front. Sorry. Oops. Hokey doke. So now we're going to do the placement line for our left lid. And then we'll do the same thing that we did and tack that down there. Aligning that folded edge with the folded edge at the cut on the left. Okay, of course, you can tape that if you would prefer to.
Yep, we're on stitch number 10, which is stitch the left lid tack down line.
Oh, for crying out loud.
We probably have enough to get through this, and then you have to trim, so.
I didn't bring over any more bobbins.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Top drawer.
Okay.
All right, so at this point, we're going to remove the fabric on the bottom section, but not on the top, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Flipped it over for you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, with our handy dandy scissors, we do not want to remove the top excess fabric just from below that line.
Was this a pre-wound in there?
Yeah. All right, so again, leave the excess everywhere except below that lid. We're going to come back over here and stitch the satin stitch on just this section of the lid.
You're gonna do zipper next.
I will say I do think those shorter pins made that a lot
easier.
There wasn't as much wiggle.
That's good.
Maybe a little fiddly, but not hard. I like this fabric.
It's cute.
Just digging through the box. what can I find that's still kind of Christmassy?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want that to go in the hand wheel?
Super close to the hand wheel there. It was like touching it.
That was close. That would have been bad, bad, bad.
Yeah, definitely pay attention to that
That open spot.
I'm surprised there's no tape there.
I was just going to say, they don't tell you to do that, do they? Just for
No.
the zipper, right?
Yep.
Okay. I did not have that happen on either of them at home. Not sure exactly what. Wonder what the foot height is on this machine. All right, so that is the satin stitch. Notice it didn't go all the way to the ends. That is where we're going to line it up in the next stitch out. And we'll still need to put the zipper in here, but the, so sorry, pardon. That is the lineup area to attach it in the next one. So that is why it didn't go all the way. Nothing is wrong. That's exactly what it's supposed to have done. So at this point, we are going to use our opening here for the...
Place tape aligned with the stitching at the top and the bottom of the gift box. On stitch number 11.
Oh, I don't remember doing that.
So I guess if that happens,
Makes the foot glide.
yeah. The tape placed at each end will help the presser foot glide
that's-
over the zipper teeth when stitching.
Zipper teeth.
Yeah.
You're in zipper.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to do this right here because there's no flat surface to do it over there. So we've got a top laying zipper, which is why we're doing this now instead of having it done first. So with that lace edge, it's going to sit on top of our piece instead of the standard tape that would go underneath our fabric. So what we're going to do is we want the zipper pull at the top of the hoop. So we're just going to put that up out of the way. And what I like to do is fold up my zipper so I can see where the teeth are and kind of align them as I go that way. So this is one that I tape because I don't want it wiggling as I am going. So I pull the zipper up, make sure that I am centered where I want it to go, and tape that in position. So what they are saying in the instructions is if you tape over where the foot is going to shift, the foot won't get caught on the actual teeth of the zipper there. So again, I'm just going to follow that down and make sure that I am right in that gap that we created. And then I'm going to tape it at the bottom as well. Slide that up. Sarah's creating a table for me. Thank you. It feels like such a shame to waste all of the zipper. There's so much. So it is going to simply tack. In my my color layouts, I would have switched to red. I'm not doing that today, but I would match the zipper lace for the tack down here. Otherwise, you'll see that color instead of the pretty zipper, which, you know, you want to see that. So I could have grabbed one of those ugly white ones. I should have done that. I wasn't even thinking. I was just thinking.
Yeah, that's all right.
Match what I was doing.
It's still a cute block. We can always hang it separate with it or something.
We could stitch tips. Sorry. Just kidding. All right, so our zipper has been attached, and that will complete the stitching for this portion of the block. All right, so there's our singing. We can remove the tape from the zipper. Really does feel extra sticky today. They're in the, never mind. See, they're in the, that's the right one, yeah.
Sometimes I can find it.
I say I put them in the memory so that you wouldn't have to, but.
Oh, I didn't know that. I must have missed that part of the conversation this morning. Apparently, I didn't remember that.
That's okay. All right, so I am removing all of the tape. And at this point, I need to trim the excess stabilizer away. But I don't want to trim, obviously, any of my fabric or my zipper. I want to leave all of that intact. So just remove the stabilizer.
So again, we're making that block with the number 20. So that's what your fabrics will look like.
Yep. Oh, this one that I just tried covering up.
Yep.
Getting a stack of hoops over here.
All right, and I am going to advance.
Like I said, make sure you don't cut your zipper when you are removing the stabilizer. That would, of course, be not good. And I am just going on the outsides of my fabric.
And we have loaded the second gift box part 2, gift box 2 part B into the machine. And we have already stitched the bow placement line, the flexi foam, the base tack down, and the gift box outline detail.
All right. So,
all right.
At this point, we have to align our other piece that we just stitched with this guy here. So we have our outline, and you can see that we have that corner point that we had before. So just like we did before, on our ends of our satin line, we have a straight stitch line. We're going to take our baby boy and our baby girl pin. See, I have pink and green, or pink and green.
Pink and blue.
Pink and blue. Wow.
And so you're going on the straight line right to the left, just to the left of the satin stitch. Okay.
And now I'm going to go just to the right of this one on that straight line. So literally right at the edge where it stops and it meets that running stitch. And I'm going to push that straight pin in. So I've got that alignment just like we did before. And I'm going to now push those pins in to the corner points here. So I can fold this up, find that point here. Okay, and then push through.
Obviously, don't push through to your machine.
Yeah, I'm trying. I had to pull it forward, sorry. And then I'm doing the same thing over here. I'm just pulling the corner up and putting the pin into that corner and pushing through. So I have them literally just sitting there. Now I'm going to push that all the way through and flip it over and check on the back. Can't get much closer than that.
It looks good.
So there's one and there's two.
So now we want to tape it really well, right?
Tape it really well. And you've got a big piece here. So this is my only complaint, if I have one, is that, and I think the shorter pins help because there's not as much
wiggle.
Yeah, I can't, I can push those pins all the way in without, I don't have this 2-inch long pin.
Exactly.
And there's not as much wiggle because this won't shift as much. So the shorter the pin, the easier that this will be. And I need to make sure that this is going to stay where it needs to specifically. When I go to tack down, it's going to do this running stitch. So if my running stitch doesn't line up, that's your cue of it's not where I want it to be. All right, so you don't start off with the satin stitch and then go, crap. All right, you do get a running stitch to make sure it's what you want.
Zoom out on that just a smidge so we can get, there we go. They can kind of see.
All right, so I've got my pins, I'm off the edge, and Sarah's helping me out here. I would normally be working on a flat surface over there, but I don't really have a flat surface. There's a whole bunch of stuff over there. So I've got that in, and I am taping outside of my stitch area, so I'm not worrying about having all of that. Smoothing everything out.
Am I in your way?
And getting that nice and taut. And I'm smoothing the fabrics, and then I'm going to tape those bottom corners too. I know I'm having a hard time using all this tape too, guys, but
it's important.
You want it to stay right where it is. Thank you. All right, so those are, I don't think anything's moving. It's doing a really good job.
Do you think some people might want to tape here?
We can put tape back over
just
that.
depending on how your
your foot's
machine
gonna
goes.
do.
Yeah, because it looks like it goes. It obviously goes in a little bit on the zipper. It probably doesn't go across.
Well, it doesn't. It jumps over it, but
it definitely goes over it down there.
I think that one's going to be okay, actually.
Okay.
But we can put it down. It's just a piece of tape.
I mean, we've used so much already, right?
What's
one
more
at this point? All right.
So we're just protecting our zipper teeth and our foot there. That's just for kicks and giggles. It's okay. Oh, helps if I remove the pins.
Oh yeah, it'll
Why
go
won't
on.
it go anywhere? All right, so I am aligned.
And I'm holding everything so things aren't shifting.
Oops, I'm sorry.
My bad.
I'm trying to be helpful and I'm just in the way.
All right, so hold the project as you're pulling out the pins. No, don't just yank, all right? And then put that back in. So we should be pretty close there. And it's pretty dang close.
We just go for it?
We're going to go for it. All right, so once we have everything in place and tacked down, now we definitely do have multiple layers. My main concern is the meeting point of that satin stitch.
I think we did pretty good.
Which the meeting points are fine, so we're going to go for it. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So where this is coming in, it's coming right up to that satin stitch, and it's coming just a hair over it, but that just means that it will stitch right on top of it, which is going to be okay. Height-wise, it is even with where I was before, right on the money here, and it's...
We forgot to move the zipper down.
It's not blocked yet.
Okay. No, because we can just cut this stitch. So don't forget to move your zipper down.
Did it tell you to do that before it did that?
I wasn't reading the instructions. So tape, go over, tape. So stitch number 8, stitch the top zipper, tack down, trim the fabric close to the stitch line around the gift box and lid, tack down, trim the excess zipper at the top and the bottom. Stitch number 7, stitch the gift box, tack down, open the zipper 3/4 of the way, tape the zipper, pull in place. So yes.
Okay. Fortunately,
It's just a
Yep.
little zigzag thing.
So
there.
before you do,
What we just did.
or again, just after, you can see that. So stitch the gift and then open the zipper 3/4 of the way. And then tape the zipper top with one of those pieces of tape.
You might have a few.
Super important. Do not forget your
Don't
zipper.
forget the zipper. All right, so with that all there, I now need to remove,
So
now it's gonna tape or stitch that
yeah,
down.
stitch the zipper top tack down. Remove the tape from the zipper top. Trim the fabric close to the stitch line.
Oh, I probably was supposed to leave some tape there, wasn't I?
Possibly. It's a lot of words.
So greedy. It wants all this tape. Okay. So, anybody have any questions about the alignment and the check? So if you, on that first pass, I would stop before it does a second pass and really look at it and make sure. That was weird.
Yes, it was.
I would look and make sure that you are where you want to be. So if you are right, left, so on and so forth, you need to make sure that you're comfortable. Maybe it's, you know, even an angle thing. Look at it and make sure you're happy after it takes its first pass. Because this is a construction stitch, it's going to take 2 runs. So after the first one, before it jumps over the zipper, to do the second run, hit the stop button and look. Because it's a lot easier to take 1 pass out than it is to take 2 if you don't like where it ended up. All right. So once you have that, tack the zipper in place with the zipper pull in the center of your square. And then we need to remove all of the excess fabric. That next piece is going to then do the satin stitch around the bottom, which is going to be this teal color down here in my square. And I am removing my zipper.
Yep, because the zipper pull is on the inside.
Yep. So much fabric.
Yes.
And this has that fusible inside of it too. Whew. It's a workout.
Yep. And it's folded with that in it. So
It is. Holy crow.
27 layers later.
I know. Hand cramp, hand cramp. Hello.
We're making a present block that you can hide stuff in.
I love that block so much. This is my favorite one. With the little zippy.
And our zipper works because we remember to put the pull in the right spot.
The details. One more.
So close.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. So unfortunately, this one takes a few minutes. We only have a few minutes left, though.
Yep.
So it's going to do, we can skip this one, I suppose. But it's going to do around the bottom. It's only a few minutes.
It's only a few minutes. So while that's stitching, I'm gonna just flip over there so that they can see what the block looks like in the actual colors. So here you go, there's number 20. It is an adorable block and the zipper works and it's...
The other one, just so that
they can see it, yep. So that's what you're
basically the same.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit more angled in. Looks like you said more like a flower pot kind of thing with a little bit of an angle. Different color bow and zipper.
So the other house, we didn't show that block either. There we go.
That one doesn't have an open door. Nope.
Nope.
It's over here.
That's the tan door. So this is the second house block.
So this one has a pocket in the upper, which is actually the roof here is a separate hooping. So you're not technically doing that many hoopings in one block because it's this hooping and then this hooping. But the door is done the same here, and you do have a pocket inside that door as well. So that is done the same. When you do the other house, you do have a window that you are going to stitch first and then fold in. This is a little bit bigger than the other window pockets that we've got. So,
but done the same way.
They're done the same way. Yep. You're going to stitch and then fold. And I literally pressed right on that so that the thread that's going up and over still had a nice seam. And it helped that out. So,
and then the mittens are also pockets, is that correct?
This is done with the same technique as what we're showing today. So this one is a pocket right here. You're going to have, instead of just the 2 that we worked with today, you actually have 4 points of...
on your mittens.
It's just the one.
Okay.
But yeah, you have actually 4 points. So the mitten point, it attaches here, 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 and here. So you'll need 4 pins for that one. There's no wiggle. So where you just have the 2 on the gifts, you have 4 on the mitten. So it lines up really perfectly and very, very easily because you've got so many, there's no angle offage where you have an option to get a little twisted on the gifts. I almost wish that you have
an extra point
to find, and I suppose you could do the top 2 corners to check that, and that might be a great additional check. Grab those other 2 pins that you're going to have out and do the top 2 corners as well. That would just give you an additional reference point, and it would prevent the angles from happening. So the more points that you have confirmed that they're lined up, the less you're chancing that your accuracy is off. So this one that was the first one, and I was like, oh, this is so easy. And then I got to the gift boxes, and I was like, oh, this takes a little bit more maneuvering because there was only the 2, and that just popped in my head. We should have totally done that.
That's okay.
But I think that would, if you did the top corners.
Zipper.
Oh. Oops. See what happens when you don't watch?
It does, yeah. So you can see it's just doing that satin stitch. It's a lot of stitching underneath there. So
so this is another block that is a pocket. There are no alignment pieces from like pins or anything like that. So this one here, you're going to stitch the pocket, the front part of the mug, and then you literally just put it where you want. So you can have wiggle room.
So it becomes like the applique piece.
It's an applique piece is really what it is with a satin edge on the top. So that one's super easy because you've got a lot of wiggle room. You don't have anything down here that you're trying to meet. You just place it up here wherever you want. So you can have it a little too high, or, you know, whatnot,
Right,
and it doesn't
right.
matter. So there's a lot of wiggle in there to get where you need
And
it to
then
go.
the tree pot, right? The 789 is
This
also
one
a pocket.
but it's just a folded
Right.
piece that sits over it.
And so you do the 789 in a separate hooping.
I don't remember.
Um,
That was a long time ago.
and then you do the satin stitching.
I believe you're correct.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then it
Because
has
you do the 789, there's no, it's
it's
then
not on the
folded
back,
over.
and then you fold it
Yep.
over. Yep. So they do a
That's
lot
right.
of the
Yep.
same technique with a bunch of different blocks. So
Yep. Bless Hayden's heart. He's getting my little
he is. He's putting
things
the
on there
dimensions
for
on
me.
there.
Yep. So we've got the little holly leaves are getting attached there. He put those on for me yesterday. So it's coming along. Yay. So we just have one more stitch here now that the base is stitched. Then there's a second color stop here for the lid itself, which you would change to the green in your stitch out. We're just doing everything in the one color tonight. So
Actually,
this
looks kind
morning.
of cute.
It matches it really well, actually.
Almost like we tried.
Right? Totally planned that. I think that is all of those.
Dimensionals.
I don't think there was anything else.
Your border, the cup of cheer, is so cute. Your words.
It came out nice,
It
didn't it?
did, yeah.
So this is the border that we put in our designs. It says cup of cheer with little cups in between each word. And I'm really pleased with how that came out. I used color number 700, so it's the lighter instead of the darker. I'm really happy with
Yeah,
it.
it's really hard to see it on the screen there, but it is so, so, so cute.
Yeah, you never know with the lighting what you're going to be able to pick
Yeah.
up. I don't know. I can't. It looks just
Well,
solid
flip it
red.
over to the back. We can kind of see that I'm in the back, yeah. So it's, you know, it's backwards, but they can see the cup
what
of
it is,
cheer. Yeah.
right? It actually shows up really well in person.
It does, yes.
I was afraid that the dark red was way too dark. So I went with the lighter one.
I love it. It's so
really
cute.
happy with
I'm
it.
totally into words, so
And I am so close
on your
on the
borders.
outside border. Pretty darn close over there.
And so we think we're gonna do next week, Tuesday morning.
I think Tuesday. Yeah.
Yep,
Do we
and-
have a lesson? Did we look?
I did not.
Let me go peek just to see, because what time will make a difference.
Yes.
I'll be right back. Morning.
Marilyn is like, I was gonna clean my machines
hands
while
full.
you were talking, but she's taking notes. Well, you know, you can always refer back to these little pieces, which I think is what's really kind of great about YouTube and Facebook these days, is that we have all of these visuals that we can refer back to.
We do not have a lesson, so we are.
Good. Yeah, so we'll probably do like a finishing borders and tips and how to put it all together next week, Tuesday. Embellishments. But it is almost done. Marilyn decided not to clean her stuff and hang out with us instead.
These were just weird. There was just, you know, I didn't think they were hard. It's just like, wait, I got to read that again. Because I was like, that is so different from anything we've done.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've done tacks coming up and going down and all, you know, I mean, we've done all of those kinds, but this is the same concept, but not.
Yeah. I think it might be important to read through the steps from the beginning to the end, because there's like lots of little things underneath.
There was a lot of instruction
Yes.
this time around, which is why the book ended up being so big, because of all of the different steps and things. But again, don't let it scare you, because it's not that it's hard. Just read it, take your time, and you'll be fine. You really will. And you know, we're here to answer the questions if you have them. And
yeah, we know that a lot of you bought it, so
no doubt. So no, that worked.
Yeah.
So look at you know, those alignment points, and look before you make that second run, because that's there. And in case nobody quite followed what I was, I will pop this over here so you guys can see the, there's side 1, and there is side 2.
Yep, and it did line up really well.
So take your time and do that. So what we were brainstorming about is, if you have your first pin here, right? Take and put a second pin in the stitch line corner here on both corners, and that would give you 4 points. And then if you wouldn't have
shift.
any twisting offage, you would also have a better, you know, there wouldn't be any racking this direction of north and south either. So 4 points would give you a better point to, I don't know why I didn't think of that before, like 2 minutes ago, but this would give you a better fixed point. So I think that would clear up any slight offage.
Yeah.
So grab a couple more pins and hit those corners too, and I think that might help you out quite a bit.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't have a satin stitch edge, but you would have an actual corner point to put the needle in.
Yeah.
The pin in.
The pin.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that would be super
So,
helpful.
give that a go. I can't say whether it would actually work because it's too late. I already did it, but
Right.
I think that would help.
All right. Well, I think we answered everybody's questions. Marilyn was just mentioning that don't forget there are those extra digital instructions on the CD, so you can blow up those points
Absolutely.
if you want a little bit more details. But that is it for the dimensional blocks.
Yep. So 10 on Tuesday.
10 on Tuesday.
10
Yep.
o'clock on Tuesday.
Yes.
And we will do, there's not much on embellishments. Those were pretty straightforward. There's just that one thing that we were talking
Yep.
about. So little bits. And of course, any questions that you have on embellishments, and then we'll run through borders and how to, where to apply and all of that, and answer any questions on that, just finishing in general. And Hayden will be here on Tuesday, so if you have any hand sewing questions, we'll throw them at him.
Right.
Because I'm not doing that. See you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.